10 Deguraus Popl who will destrawo you. If you try to help, have you ever extended a hand to someone, only to feel drained, manipulated, or even attacked afterward? Helping others is a beautiful part of being human, but not everyone deserves your time, energy, or trust. Some people are dangerous, not in the obvious sense, but in the way they drain your spirit, exploit your kindness, and even sabotage your life when you try to assist them. In this video, we're diving deep into 10 types of people who will destroy you if you try to help. I'll reveal the warning signs, explain why their toxicity can sneak up on you, and show you how to protect yourself without losing your compassion. Stay tuned, because understanding these people could save your mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. The manipulator, how your kindness becomes their weapon. Helping someone should feel rewarding, fulfilling, and meaningful. Yet, with a manipulator, your good intentions often backfire. Manipulators are masters of psychological games. They see empathy not as a gift, but as an opportunity to control, exploit, or bend you to their will. At first, their behavior can be subtle. They might shower you with gratitude, appear vulnerable, or create situations where you feel uniquely capable of saving them. This makes you feel special, needed, and important. The danger begins when this neediness turns into a trap. You start noticing patterns, their problems never truly resolve, your boundaries are constantly tested, and your efforts are never enough. Manipulators thrive on imbalance. They subtly guilt you into prioritizing their needs over your own. For instance, if you decline their requests, they might sulk, throw passive-aggressive comments, or even exaggerate their suffering to make you feel responsible. Their language is calculated, designed to keep you invested. You may find yourself thinking, I have to help them, otherwise something bad will happen. Even when logically you know it isn't your responsibility. Over time, this emotional manipulation erodes your confidence and self-esteem. A key sign of manipulators is inconsistency. They may alternate between charm and criticism, affection and blame, keeping you off balance. When you try to help, they might accept your assistance, but immediately twist the situation so that you feel guilty, indebted, or inadequate. They are experts at turning your kindness into leverage. Even when your intentions are pure, manipulators make you question yourself, leaving you exhausted, stressed, and emotionally drained. The manipulator's tactics aren't always obvious. They often present themselves as victims of circumstances, claiming that no one else understands their struggles like you do. Your empathy makes you vulnerable, as they exploit your willingness to see the good in people. They may share personal stories, exaggerate challenges, or frame themselves as hopeless without your intervention. The more you try to help, the deeper the trap becomes. They may even start setting expectations for your behavior, demanding attention, or subtly punishing you for asserting boundaries. Helping a manipulator can lead to serious consequences if you're not careful. Beyond emotional exhaustion, they can manipulate others to turn against you, damage your reputation, or create conflicts that were never your responsibility. Their influence spreads because they understand human psychology and use it to their advantage. They often know how to push buttons, appeal to guilt, or provoke reactions that keep you engaged. This makes them uniquely dangerous because their attack is not overt. They destroy you from the inside out, leaving you questioning your judgment and motives. The key to protecting yourself from manipulators is awareness and firm boundaries. Recognize that no one's problems are worth your mental or emotional collapse. You don't need to abandon empathy, but you must separate your desire to help from their attempts to control. This means saying no without guilt, limiting interactions when necessary, and maintaining emotional distance. Keep your generosity intentional rather than reactive. Do not allow them to dictate your actions or drain your energy under the guise of neediness. Another important strategy is to observe patterns rather than isolated incidents. One act of manipulation can be brushed off, but repeated behaviors reveal a consistent attempt to exploit your kindness. Pay attention to how your interactions make you feel. Do you leave conversations with tension, self-doubt, or guilt? Are you constantly apologizing or adjusting yourself to appease them? These are red flags. True relationships, even with people in crisis, should not make you feel diminished or constantly responsible for someone else's emotional state. Manipulators also prey on emotional blind spots. If you have a strong desire to be needed or fear rejection, you are more vulnerable to their tactics. Recognizing this allows you to respond deliberately rather than react emotionally. Instead of being drawn deeper into their chaos, you can offer help selectively, providing support only when it is appropriate and safe for you. Importantly, you must maintain clarity that their choices and behaviors are their responsibility, not yours. Finally, self-care is critical. Manipulators often target people who are compassionate and reliable, because these traits make it easier to extract energy. Protecting yourself means prioritizing your mental and emotional health above the pressure to rescue them. Seek guidance from trusted friends, mentors, or even professional support if needed. Document interactions if manipulation is severe, and avoid overcommitting yourself. Remember, helping should be empowering for both parties, not a one-sided burden where your generosity is weaponized. In conclusion, the manipulator is a dangerous figure because they turn the very act of helping into a tool for destruction. They feed on your empathy, test your boundaries, and exploit your kindness to control and weaken you. Recognizing their behavior, setting firm limits, and protecting your emotional energy are essential strategies to survive and thrive. By understanding manipulators, you ensure that your help remains a source of positivity, not a path to self-destruction. In the journey of life, your compassion is valuable. Never allow someone else to weaponize it against you. The narcissist, when helping, feeds their ego, not their growth. Helping someone should be a mutually enriching experience, but with a narcissist, it becomes a one-way street that leaves you depleted and frustrated. Narcissists are masters of turning every situation into an opportunity to boost their ego, and your help is never for their growth, it is for their gain. At first, they may seem charming, appreciative, and even vulnerable, drawing you in with their apparent need for support. You might feel special that someone so self-absorbed is seeking your guidance, believing your help can make a difference. But beneath the surface, their intentions are far from genuine. The moment you try to help, the dynamic shifts, and the relationship becomes about their gratification, not your generosity. Narcissists have a unique way of making your efforts about them. When you extend a hand, they often respond with entitlement or subtle manipulation. Your help may be accepted, but it is never acknowledged in a healthy way. Instead, they might take full credit for your contributions, belittle your input, or compare your efforts to their own needs. You may notice a pattern where no matter how much you give, it is never enough. Their endless desire for admiration ensures that you remain trapped in a cycle of overextending yourself to meet impossible standards. One of the most dangerous aspects of helping a narcissist is their lack of empathy. While you may invest time and energy to genuinely improve their situation, they are rarely concerned with your feelings or boundaries. In fact, your compassion can become a tool for them to exploit. They may use your willingness to help as leverage to manipulate, guilt, or control you. For example, if you refuse to comply with their demands, they might react with anger, passive aggression, or subtle sabotage. This leaves you feeling responsible for their emotions, even though their reactions are entirely self-driven. A narcissist thrives on the imbalance between their needs and your generosity. They often position themselves as victims of circumstance, portraying the world as unfair or unjust, and implying that only your support can prevent disaster. Your help is framed as essential, making it difficult to say no without feeling guilt or fear of consequences. Over time, this dynamic erodes your self-confidence. You may start questioning your judgment, wondering if you are truly doing enough, or if the fault lies with you for not meeting their impossible expectations. The danger increases when narcissists begin to manipulate perception, both internally and externally. They might tell others that you are selfish, unhelpful, or incapable, casting doubt on your reputation while simultaneously benefiting from your efforts. This triangulation ensures that you remain isolated, constantly trying to prove yourself while they continue to exploit your energy. Even when their needs are temporary, the emotional damage they cause is long-lasting, as it chips away at your sense of worth and self-respect. Helping a narcissist can also create a toxic dependency. They often cultivate an environment where they need continuous attention and validation, ensuring that you remain entangled in their drama. Any attempt to step back may provoke extreme reactions, anger, guilt, tripping, or emotional withdrawal, designed to pull you back into their orbit. Their behavior is strategic, aimed at securing control rather than solving any real problem. The more you try to help, the more you risk losing your independence, clarity, and emotional balance. Recognizing a narcissist early is key to protecting yourself. Look for patterns of entitlement, lack of empathy, and constant need for admiration. Observe whether your contributions are acknowledged or exploited, and whether your well-being is consistently disregarded. Narcissists often deflect responsibility, blame others for failures, and expect unconditional support without reciprocation. Understanding these patterns allows you to interact with them cautiously and avoid being consumed by their self-centered agenda. Setting boundaries is crucial. Unlike manipulators, narcissists respond poorly to confrontation, but without firm limits, they will continue to exploit your kindness. Be explicit about what you are willing to do, and do not let guilt or pressure dictate your actions. Emotional detachment is essential. Help when it aligns with your values, not when it feeds their ego. Remember that their reactions are about them, not you. Your responsibility is to maintain your integrity and protect your emotional health. Self-care and support systems are vital when dealing with narcissists. Engage with friends, mentors, or counselors who can provide perspective and validate your experiences. Document interactions if necessary, especially if patterns of manipulation or exploitation escalate. Avoid overcommitting, and learn to say no without apology. The key is to balance compassion with discernment, ensuring that your empathy is a source of strength rather than a pathway to exhaustion. In conclusion, narcissists are dangerous because they transform your genuine efforts to help into tools for their own benefit. They exploit your compassion, undermine your self-worth, and create emotional dependency, all while appearing charming or needy. Understanding their behavior, maintaining firm boundaries, and prioritizing your well-being are essential to surviving interactions with them. Helping should be empowering, not depleting. With narcissists, your energy is rarely returned, making vigilance and self-protection paramount. By recognizing these patterns, you can ensure that your desire to help remains a gift to those who deserve it, rather than a weapon in the hands of someone who seeks only to serve themselves. The chronic victim, when your help keeps them trapped in their own drama. Some people seem to live perpetually in crisis, and trying to help them can feel like running on a treadmill that never stops. The chronic victim is one of the most dangerous people to engage with, because, no matter how much support you offer, their situation rarely improves. They thrive in perpetual suffering, not because they enjoy pain, but because it defines their identity. When you try to help them, you are often seen as a temporary lifeline or, worse, a target for blame when things don't go their way. Unlike manipulators who act strategically or narcissists who seek admiration, chronic victims operate from a deep-seated belief that the world is fundamentally against them, and they pull others into that narrative. When you offer assistance to a chronic victim, it is easy to feel needed and important. They may initially appear grateful, sharing their struggles in detail and framing you as the only person who can truly understand or help them. This creates a sense of urgency and moral responsibility, making it difficult to step back or say no. But their gratitude is often fleeting, replaced by frustration, blame, or emotional withdrawal if your help doesn't deliver immediate or perfect results. The cycle begins subtly. Your energy is drained, your patience is tested, and your emotional resilience is slowly eroded. One of the defining traits of a chronic victim is resistance to solutions. While they may ask for help or advice, they rarely implement it. They might reject practical suggestions, insist that nothing works, or interpret positive changes as temporary or insufficient. This is not mere stubbornness. It is a pattern that keeps them anchored in their suffering. Helping them can feel like banging your head against a wall. No matter what you do, it is never enough. Their pain becomes a way of life, and anyone who tries to intervene risks becoming entangled in their ongoing drama. Chronic victims also have a way of making your compassion feel like a personal obligation. They can guilt you into staying involved, framing any refusal as abandonment or cruelty. Their narrative often implies that you alone are responsible for their happiness or survival, which is both unfair and psychologically exhausting. Over time, you may start questioning your own boundaries, wondering if saying no makes you selfish or uncaring. This emotional manipulation is subtle yet powerful. It can trap even the most well-intentioned helper in a web of guilt and obligation. Another danger lies in their ability to escalate conflict if they feel unsupported. If your help does not align with their expectations, they may become critical, passive-aggressive, or overtly hostile. This creates a toxic feedback loop. The more you try to help, the more tension arises, and the more drained you feel. Their energy is consuming, and it can spill over into other areas of your life, affecting your mental clarity, relationships, and overall well-being. Chronic victims are dangerous because the harm they cause is often indirect and psychological, rather than overt or intentional. Helping a chronic victim can also distort your perception of what help actually means. You might start to feel that your self-worth is tied to their approval or progress, which is a trap. No one person can fix another's lifelong patterns of thought or behavior, and attempting to do so often leads to frustration and resentment. Chronic victims rely on this dynamic, consciously or unconsciously, to maintain control over their environment and the people around them. Recognizing that their suffering is not your responsibility is a crucial first step in protecting yourself. Setting boundaries with chronic victims requires clarity, consistency, and self-awareness. Decide in advance what forms of support you are willing to provide and what is outside your capacity. Communicate your limits firmly but kindly, and stick to them without succumbing to guilt or pressure. This may include limiting time spent, reducing emotional involvement, or disengaging entirely from situations that feel toxic. Boundaries are not acts of cruelty. They are necessary protections that allow you to maintain your energy and mental health, while still being compassionate in a sustainable way. Another strategy is to detach emotionally while remaining compassionate. This means caring about their well-being without taking responsibility for their choices, actions, or emotions. Understand that change must come from them, not from your efforts, and that repeated patterns of suffering are not reflections of your inadequacy. Observing the difference between empathy and enmeshment is critical. Empathy allows you to offer support without losing yourself in someone else's drama, whereas enmeshment traps you in a cycle of exhaustion and frustration. Self-care is essential when dealing with chronic victims. Engage in activities that replenish your energy, maintain connections with supportive people, and remind yourself that your own needs are equally important. Documenting interactions or reflecting on recurring patterns can help you recognize when your help is being exploited or when boundaries are being tested. By maintaining emotional clarity and awareness, you prevent yourself from becoming a permanent participant in someone else's crisis. In conclusion, the chronic victim is dangerous because their neediness is unending, and your attempts to help often reinforce their patterns rather than alleviate them. They thrive on attention, guilt, and control, and any effort to fix them can backfire, leaving you drained and emotionally depleted. Understanding their behavior, maintaining firm boundaries, and detaching emotionally are key strategies for protecting yourself. Compassion does not require self-sacrifice, it requires discernment. By helping wisely and selectively, you ensure that your kindness remains a force for good rather than a pathway to being the aggressor. When your help provokes their wrath, helping someone is meant to be an act of kindness. But with an aggressor, even the smallest gesture can trigger hostility. Aggressors are dangerous because they view help as a challenge to their control or authority, rather than as an opportunity for growth. Their responses to assistance are unpredictable, often aggressive, and sometimes destructive. What makes them particularly perilous is that their aggression is rarely proportional to the situation. A simple offer of guidance, support, or advice can be misinterpreted as criticism, interference, or a threat to their autonomy. This creates a high-risk environment where well-intentioned help can lead to confrontation, emotional abuse, or even long-term conflict. Aggressors often operate from a place of insecurity masked by outward dominance. They may be highly sensitive to perceived slights or challenges to their authority, interpreting your attempts to help as judgments or invasions. Even if your intentions are pure, they may feel exposed, threatened, or vulnerable, and their reaction is often defensive, hostile, or retaliatory. Unlike manipulators or narcissists, whose tactics are often subtle, aggressors express their danger overtly. Anger, intimidation, or verbal attacks may arise suddenly, leaving you bewildered and unsure how to respond. Their behavior creates an environment where assistance is risky because the act of helping can inadvertently become a trigger for conflict. One of the defining traits of aggressors is their tendency to escalate situations quickly. A suggestion meant to be constructive may be met with sarcasm, contempt, or outright hostility. Attempts to mediate or resolve conflicts are often ignored or rebuffed, intensifying the tension. Over time, your repeated efforts to help can backfire, leading to frustration, emotional fatigue, and a growing sense of danger. Aggressors thrive in environments where control and dominance are challenged, even subtly, and they may react disproportionately to maintain power. This makes them especially harmful to those who are genuinely trying to support them. Aggressors also have a tendency to weaponize your help. If you offer guidance or resources, they may twist it into evidence of your interference or lack of understanding. Your good intentions can be reframed as criticism, and your attempts to support can become ammunition for attacks or resentment. They often resist any form of influence, preferring to operate according to their own rules, and anyone who steps outside of these rules is seen as a threat. This dynamic creates a constant tension where your willingness to help becomes a liability rather than an asset. Emotional manipulation is often intertwined with their aggression. They may attempt to provoke guilt, shame, or fear to maintain control. Even if your help is well-meaning, they may claim you are overstepping boundaries, not respecting them, or undermining them. This can lead to a cycle of defensiveness on your part and hostility on theirs, which erodes trust and emotional safety. Unlike a narcissist who seeks admiration or a chronic victim who seeks dependency, the aggressor primarily seeks dominance. Your involvement is judged not by its merit, but by whether it threatens their sense of control. Helping an aggressor also carries the risk of social or professional consequences. Aggressors often escalate conflicts publicly, spreading rumors or creating tensions that impact your reputation or relationships. Their hostility can ripple outward, affecting coworkers, friends, or family members, and your attempts to intervene may make you a target rather than a solution. This makes it crucial to assess the risk before offering help. Not every problem deserves your involvement, particularly when the potential for aggression outweighs the benefits of assistance. Setting boundaries with aggressors is essential. You must clearly define what support you are willing to provide, and stick to it without yielding to intimidation or pressure. Avoid engaging in conflict, and do not attempt to fix their behavior. Understand that their reactions are a reflection of their internal state, not your inadequacy. By maintaining composure and emotional distance, you reduce the likelihood of provoking aggression while preserving your own safety. Physical and emotional self-protection should always be your priority when dealing with these individuals. Observation is critical when interacting with aggressors. Take note of triggers, patterns, and contexts that lead to aggressive behavior. Recognizing early warning signs, such as sudden irritability, verbal hostility, or controlling tendencies, allows you to withdraw before being drawn into harmful situations. Understanding the dynamics at play helps you make informed decisions about when to offer help and when to step back. Your energy and well-being are finite, and prioritizing them ensures that your compassion does not become a source of personal harm. In addition, seeking external support can be invaluable. Discussing situations with trusted friends, mentors, or professionals provides perspective and helps reinforce boundaries. This support system can offer guidance on safe engagement strategies and provide reassurance that detachment does not equate to cruelty. Remember, helping should empower both parties, but with aggressors, unchecked involvement often empowers their destructive tendencies instead. In conclusion, aggressors are dangerous because they transform your genuine efforts to help into opportunities for conflict, intimidation, or emotional harm. They respond to kindness with suspicion, support with hostility, and guidance with resentment. Understanding their behavior, setting firm boundaries, and maintaining emotional and physical safety are essential strategies when navigating interactions with them. Compassion must be balanced with discernment, helping is a gift, but with aggressors, indiscriminate generosity can become a risk. By prioritizing your own safety, observing patterns, and acting wisely, you can offer support selectively, ensuring that your empathy remains a source of strength rather than a path to danger. Consumed by someone else's lifelong patterns of suffering. The opportunist, when your generosity becomes their gain, helping someone should be an act of goodwill. But with an opportunist, your generosity is never truly appreciated, it is exploited. Opportunists are dangerous because they do not value your kindness, they value what they can extract from it. Unlike a manipulator who seeks control, a narcissist who craves admiration, or a chronic victim who seeks attention, the opportunist's primary motivation is personal gain. They view your help as a resource to be harvested, not a gesture to be reciprocated or respected. Attempting to assist them without awareness can leave you drained, manipulated, and even sabotaged, as their gratitude is often superficial and their loyalty conditional. At first, opportunists can appear charming, grateful, and likable. They may present themselves as vulnerable, capable, or in need, drawing you in with carefully curated stories of struggle or ambition. Your natural inclination to assist makes you a perfect target. You might feel pride in your ability to help someone succeed, or make a difference in their life. However, the danger lies in their hidden agenda. Your support is a stepping stone for their advantage. They are not interested in mutual growth, learning, or gratitude. They are focused solely on what your help can give them in terms of status, resources, or influence. Opportunists often exploit your generosity subtly, creating a pattern that is difficult to detect initially. They may request small favors at first, gradually increasing demands until your time, energy, or resources are disproportionately consumed. Each act of help is framed as a necessity, temporary support, or mutual benefit, making it difficult to refuse without feeling selfish or uncaring. Over time, you may realize that the help you offer is never acknowledged in meaningful ways, and that your efforts serve primarily to elevate or enrich them, rather than to foster genuine improvement. A hallmark of opportunists is their selective engagement. They often seek assistance from people they perceive as capable, influential, or resourceful, abandoning those who no longer serve their purpose. Your kindness is transactional in their eyes, and they have no loyalty beyond what they can gain. This makes them particularly dangerous because the consequences of helping them extend beyond emotional fatigue. They can undermine your trust, exploit your skills, or even damage your reputation if their self-interest involves manipulation of others. Opportunists can also manipulate perception to their advantage. If their attempts at leveraging your help encounter resistance, they may cast you as unsupportive, jealous, or obstructive, framing themselves as the victim of your refusal. This tactic not only pressures you into continued involvement, but can also create social or professional tension, as others may perceive the situation according to their narrative. Their opportunism thrives in environments where trust and goodwill are abundant, making it imperative to be discerning before offering assistance. Helping an opportunist without caution often leads to repeated cycles of exploitation. Unlike a chronic victim, they are fully aware of their actions and the benefits they derive. Unlike a narcissist, they may not seek emotional validation, only tangible gains. This makes them particularly insidious, as their behavior can go unnoticed until you are heavily invested in their agenda. The moment you realize the imbalance, it is often after significant emotional, social, or material cost, leaving you questioning your judgment and boundaries. Setting boundaries with opportunists is critical. Before engaging in any form of assistance, assess whether the help is sustainable, appropriate, and genuinely desired. Limit your involvement to what you can manage comfortably, and be wary of repeated requests that seem one-sided. Protect your resources, whether time, money, or emotional energy, and refuse to let guilt or obligation dictate your actions. Unlike other dangerous personalities, opportunists respond primarily to incentives, so removing the opportunity for exploitation is often the most effective form of protection. Another key strategy is to observe patterns rather than isolated incidents. Opportunists often show consistency in exploiting others over time, seeking advantages wherever possible and shifting focus when resistance arises. Tracking these behaviors allows you to make informed decisions about engagement and avoid becoming a perpetual target. Detachment does not mean abandoning empathy. It means recognizing that your help should be offered to those who value it, not to those who exploit it. Self-care and reflection are essential when dealing with opportunists. Helping should not come at the expense of your well-being, and learning to discern genuine need from self-serving agendas is crucial. Seek advice from trusted mentors, peers, or colleagues to gain perspective, and trust your intuition when something feels off. Remember that generosity is a strength, but when misdirected toward opportunists, it can become a vulnerability. By maintaining awareness and protecting your boundaries, you ensure that your kindness remains empowering rather than destructive. In conclusion, opportunists are dangerous because they turn your compassion and willingness to help into tools for personal gain. They exploit generosity, manipulate perception, and act with conditional loyalty, leaving those who try to help them depleted and frustrated. Understanding their motivations, setting clear boundaries, and observing patterns of behavior are essential strategies for protecting yourself. Helping should be intentional, purposeful, and sustainable, not a pathway for exploitation. By recognizing opportunists and engaging wisely, you preserve your energy, maintain your integrity, and ensure that your acts of kindness benefit those who truly deserve them.